How you doing? All right. All that being said, but hey, news already today with the Eagles. Without further ado, make sure you guys keep checking out our friends at Birds 365. They do one whale of a show, and the co-host of that with John McMullen, who also does a great job, is my guy, Zander Krause. Here he is, folks. Big Z, Zander Krause.
What's up, Sills?
How's it going, dude?
Good, man. How you doing?
What do you make of the news? TJ Pagnetti ends up going to the Saints. Kellen hires him as the offensive line coach. He was the assistant in the run game to Jeff Stoutland. Probably makes sense. You want to get a guy after working with Jeff. You see what he did,
right,
and how he developed those players there. So we kind of said, we went down the list of all the coaches 2 weeks ago. We said these would be probably some of the guys that Nolan or that Kellen would look at. So probably makes sense, no?
Yeah, no, probably does. Probably does make some sense. But you know, I think if I'm not mistaken, he's one of the only 2 coaches that have been here
17.
for both. Yep, for both Eagles Super Bowls. So now it's a big loss. He's a young guy, so he's one of those guys who flies under the radar. You know, he doesn't get a lot of headlines, but I would imagine Kellen Moore is looking for his version of Jeff Stoutland, a younger version of Jeff Stoutland. So good hire by Kellen Moore. Actually, I think Kellen's done a pretty good job assembling his staff so far over there. So he's done a good job. But you know, I think it's one of those things you'll be able to prevail. But I think he could have great success over there. I really do.
You hire the right people, you're gonna
right, and you learn from the right people, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So whispers are going around the room now that Nakobe, who has no money coming to him, no guaranteed money, I should say, coming to him this coming football season here. 3rd rounder, doesn't have a 5th-year option. You get it done a little ahead of time. You can drop that salary and that base. Would you be open to a 3-year, $27 million deal?
For Nakobe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a little premature on him. I mean, you know, he's dealt with a lot of injuries in his career here, and you know, Howie doesn't typically pay linebackers. So do we think he's going to go out on a limb for Nakobe with Zach Bond up in the air? I don't see that, but potentially. I mean, I like the player. I think they like I think it's more than just his football abilities with some of these guys. I think they like what he brings to the locker room. They like, that defense, let's be real, that defense has had a turnaround in mentality and mindset and focus and approach and all of those things. And I think Nakobe's been a part of that. So I wouldn't be mad at it because, look, if you tell me they extended him for 3 years, $27 million, we've already seen enough Howie Roseman contracts to know that thing is going to look so team-friendly and so favorable. They're going to front-load money. They're going to add 4 void years on the back of it. The cap hits are going to be damn near nothing, and you're going to have some stability at linebacker. So it would not surprise me at all if they were going down that road. But that's a lot of injury to do a guy like that right now. Yeah. So
especially with him going into the year with not knowing what those first 4 games are.
I've become a big Nakobe fan, though. I will say, I had my questions on him earlier in his career. I just didn't see the size. I didn't think he was going to be able to make an impact, but he's a feisty player. He plays downhill. He doesn't wait for the play to come to him, right? He reads it and reacts faster than most do at that position. And I think that's what I love about him most, but got to stay on the field, man. If you can't stay on the field, you can't help us out. So I think he's got to stay on the field, and then, by the way, that injury guy is not a great injury. That's a tough injury to bounce back from. So we'll see on him, but I think I'd rather go Ballin, honestly, if I had to pick one.
How about this? Every year he's been an Eagle, he's finished his season on the IR.
Right.
So, right. I mean, it's kind of a Goddard conversation here a little bit. You know what I mean? I mean, you're going down the route. Hey, the player can play, but is he going to be available? All right. Do you think today, which is franchise tag day, that Howie will use it all, any of it, or do you think he passes on it?
I think he passes on it 100%. I did some research, looked into some of the times that Howie's used.
Lito Shepherd, was it?
No, not Lito. The last one he used was actually in 2012 with Deshaun Jackson. And if you remember it was not a disgruntled franchise tag type of thing. It was Deshaun wanted to be, if I remember this correctly, I was young, but I look back on it today, and he wanted to be paid like a top 5 receiver in the NFL. The franchise tag got him there. And then I think they worked out a 5-year contract on, during that period. So they worked it out with him. It was not a thing like that. And then if you go back and look at a couple more, I think they used it on Vic in 2011. So they don't use it much. I mean, you're talking about 12 seasons, 13 years of no use of the franchise tag. They're not about to start today. And I think that's a good thing. I don't think good organizations who draft well, who build teams in the trenches well, who do things well, franchise tag people. And I don't think they're going to franchise tag anybody today.
Franchise tag is there for cheap teams.
Yeah, right. Right.
Okay. Teams that like Cincinnati, they're talking about putting another tag on T. Higgins.
Yeah. Now I think I did read some more about that last night because I was interested in what the hell was going on there. And I don't know, maybe they're trying to work out a deal with them. Maybe they're doing that, but the Bengals, dude, the Bengals. I mean, they're going to go the cheapest route possible. So, gotcha, Elizabeth. We'll make sure we get to those. I'll make sure we get to those. I don't think any franchise tag is coming. 2012 was the last one, and nothing is coming. Nothing is coming on the franchise tag front, and I think that's a good thing.
Okay. What would you be willing to give up for Myles Garrett?
I'm listening to some of the stuff, and hey, I love Myles Garrett. All right, I really do. But if you're talking to me about trading any of these young perennial defensive guys, I don't see it.
They're not perennial.
Okay.
That guy's perennial.
He's perennial. You're right. Wrong word. If you're talking about any of the young guys that we see as a core around for this defense in the future, you don't do it because Sills, and I get the player. And here's where you're right. You're right in that you're not trading trash cans to get Myles Garrett. You're going to have to give somebody good. But that's where I say, okay, then let other teams do it because we just had the number 1 defense in the NFL. We just made Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid look like a fool in the Super Bowl. I mean, what? I get it. I want the player. I love him.
But
he's a game changer.
You're not going to surrender stability.
Right. I'm not going to
continuity to try to because that turns it upside down.
It's too much. It's too much. I don't want to do that. Drew says, I don't know, Big Z. That guy's pretty good. Drew, you're right, brother. But we were just the number 1 D. Drew, how much better can we get? How much better can we get on defense?
With him?
We can get better, but my point was what we had today was enough for us to cross that finish line by a wide margin. Should you take some of that formula, put it in the trash can, and replace it with something? I don't know.
The only reason
I love Garrett.
Wait, the only reason, though, we're talking about this is because we're talking about him.
Right.
Okay.
He is that good. He is that good.
Kind of shaking the bottle a little bit and looking at it going, now, wait a minute here. Over the next 3-4 years with this roster, will we not agree that's probably the window here? Any Super Bowl team, you're talking 3-4 years, somewhere in there when you have a lot of young players, especially on one side of the ball. Actually, you don't have a lot. Well, you do have a lot of young players on the offensive side of the ball, too. So you got a pretty good roster. I think I saw 26.7 years of age. I think you're talking here. So,
and I want to give you a scenario before we move on from this because, it is an interesting topic. And where Cilio is 100% correct is that this is one of those players that you're going to listen to everything. I mean, It doesn't mean you're going to make the move, but you're going to listen. He's that good. All right. But here's my problem with it. All right. You have the number 1 defense in the NFL, as I just mentioned. You have Josh Sweat, who's a free agent. Right now, they're projecting him to make $18 million. I happen to think that's right in the ballpark. I think he's going to get between 16 and 20 million, somewhere in that range. All right, for Josh Sweat. So if you trade for Myles Garrett, and I think Cilio is right, it's going to require a guy like a Nolan Smith or somebody like that. Now I'm out Josh Sweat and I'm out Nolan Smith, and I've added Myles Garrett. I've depleted draft capital, and I've taken up more cap room. Okay, isn't the smarter option as a football team to I'd rather just re-up Josh Sweat at that point at $18.8 million. I don't give up any assets. I keep all the young guys. I can do a 2-year deal where Josh Sweat's out of here by the time Nolan Smith is due for an extension. And you keep the band together. You keep the guys you just had in the room together and then build on top of that. Or Take Nolan, get rid of it. Take draft capital, get rid of it. Take your cap space, get rid of it. And I'm still an edge rusher short. As good as Myles Garrett is, you're going to need to bring in an edge rusher if you trade one of those young guys. So I don't really see, and I get it. He's
too much turnover. Too
much, right? I mean, too much turnover for me. And I don't
you're
think
you're already light. You're already light at the edge.
Yeah. I think you need to add an edge anyway. I really do. I think Howie's adding an edge early in the draft or a potential free agent. So I now maybe if you're going to say, all right, don't trade Nolan, don't trade Jalix, and maybe look to the offensive side of the ball and trade one of those guys. I mean, who's a name? All right. And everybody, look, there's no name I can say right now that you guys won't get pissed off at. And I understand. But if you're talking about Myles Garrett, you're not talking about trading Will Shipley. You're talking about trading Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're not trading at. Fred Johnson.
Right. So, and I don't want to trade Devontae or A.J. So I look at the whole Myles Garrett situation as if our picks aren't enough, it's a pipe dream for me.
How about right now if you packaged up Mekhi Becton and a first for Myles Garrett, you think they'd bite on that? They need O-line help, dude.
What was it?
Mekhi Becton and a first-round pick.
In like a sign-in trade or something?
Like that. And for Garrett.
See, I'd consider that. Because I feel pretty good about what Stoutland's going to do in that offensive line. I know it might not sound sexy, but you're talking about, remember, with this is going to be Josh Sweat walking out the door. So you lose one guy on the offensive line and a prospect at 32 to add a perennial guy on the edge to replace Josh Sweat. Now we're talking. Now
you upgraded your pass rush.
Now I don't know if they'll bite on that. What? I don't know if Cleveland will bite on that.
See, Cleveland would want something else.
Yeah.
A future 2 or something.
I agree.
Okay. They're going to want, but you'd pick the phone up if you're Howie.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's Myles Garrett. Howie's going to pick the phone up on everything. I was listening to an interview from Howie Roseman. I forget what show that was on. What show was that? It wasn't a recent interview, but he was talking about the process of hearing teams out. He said in the interview, I never, ever, ever, ever want to be the GM that gets a notification on my phone that a player was dealt to another football team and I didn't at least have the chance to match that offer or better. Because how do I respond to the fans who say you want my team to get better? How do I respond to the owner who expects me to get his team better? So Howie's whole point was, I keep an open line I tell everybody, even if it's a lot, even if you think I'm going to say no, come to me and ask, come to me and talk to me about it. And not everybody does that because they know Howie's a good fleecer, but I think it's a credit to him for keeping those lines open.
Yes.
So he's going to hear out some options. I mean, anything Cilio's saying right now, it's likely that somebody will run it by Howie. All right.
Yes.
Cleveland might call and say, hey, if you give me Nolan Smith in that one, I'll make that deal right now. Not saying he's going to do it, but they'll listen. So I think that's a credit to Howie Roseman. And if you're talking about Becton and a 1 in a sign-in trade, I think that's a deal that Howie would consider because you feel good about what you're going to do with the offensive line. By the way, I think 32. Now, if you're going to trade that, I think there's a lot of good offensive linemen in this draft. Just from what I've looked at so far, not tackles. You're talking about interior O-line guys. I think there's guys that Jeff Stoutland could get his hands on and do something with. So that would be something they would consider.
You know why that position over the last 3 years has produced quality guys? Just for shits and giggles here. Why most of the time you're going to get a really good player if you're getting an O-line. The reason is because the COVID year in there, most of these O-linemen now are coming out of college older because, again, it takes a little more time to develop those positions, that offensive line. They're coming in ready to play. That kid, Barton, who plays down with the Bucks,
dude, there's a lot
into the Buccaneers.
You're right. There's been a lot of young offensive linemen,
and they walk right in and start.
Yeah, it's not just the offensive linemen either. By the way, I saw a stat today. about Jaden Daniels. He's 1 year younger than Jalen Hurts. Think
Yeah,
about that. Jalen's got 4 years starting and 5
yeah,
years in the NFL.
that's
He's a
right.
max contract guy. He's been to 2
Yep,
Super Bowls and won one, and he's 1 year older than a
yep.
rookie. That's pretty crazy.
That's because of
So,
COVID and the
right.
transfer.
COVID and the transfer portal, which is
Right.
a change in college football, which, you know, I
You
think
could
the
Bo
NFL,
Nix.
I
Bo
think,
Nix
yeah,
is like
right.
25.
I know he's an old ass dude too. I think the NFL probably looks at the whole NIL thing in college as a net positive because
Oh, yes.
players are getting more developed. I think, you know, you get more experience, different coaches, different looks. If you don't play, you can transfer out and go play somewhere. You get more reps, more experience. And in a way, you know, the cream will always rise to the top and the cream is more polished when it gets there. So interesting way to look at it, but I think it's true.
How about what Marcus Hayes said yesterday? And, you know, I threw out there, what were some of the most unexpected things that you saw this year? And he said the number one thing for him was Quinyon Mitchell's play at the cornerback position. He goes, nobody on the planet thought that a guy's going to walk off at the Toledo practice fields
Right.
and walk into the NFC East and play like that the way he did. He said that, and plus DeJean and those 2 rookies. Isn't it funny? Every time I bring up a topic to him, he's got a column in the hopper. And what he's doing, I thought it was dope, but I really liked it. We talked about it. He said, hey, if you see that column, you know, I go, it's all good, dude. We love having you on here. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I thought that was interesting on what he said because they did hit.
Well, breaking news right now. Looks like Doug Nussmeier is going to be gone. All right. So looks like Doug Nussmeier is going to be gone. It's not officially confirmed, but here's Josina Anderson, who's typically pretty good. And he said, I'm told the Saints are currently working to finalize a deal with Eagles quarterback coach Doug Nussmeier to become the team's next offensive coordinator. Makes a lot of sense. He's been with Kellen the whole way through, and he's now going to be gone. So I don't know. Not to interrupt you. Sorry, Sills. I know I interrupted your topic.
Well, that's worthy.
Yeah, I wanted to update everybody. Now, if I'm looking, now correct me if I'm wrong here. All right. You got Doug Nussmeier gone. You got TJ Paganetti gone. All right. Now the run game specialist and assistant line coach, or an offensive assistant, Kyle Valero, might be going too.
Yep.
Now you're looking at, you need an offensive coordinator in Philly. You need a pass game coordinator in Philly. You need a QB coach in Philly, right? And you need a run game specialist, assistant O-line coach in Philly. Yep. So all of a sudden, we got a lot of freaking holes on our coaching staff to go and fill in. Just from Kellen taking 1 or 2 guys, it creates all these openings. So, you know, and if Kevin Patullo gets elevated as well, you're going to need a pass game coordinator. So you're looking at 4 or 5 openings right now on this Eagles coaching staff that they're going to have to fill in.
And they have not addressed yet in New Orleans what the D-line coach could be. That could also be Clint Hurt. Yeah. I know there was conversation with him. I doubt he leaves.
He didn't interview yet with him.
No,
and Christian Parker.
What I heard also is that he's looking for a DC job. He's not looking for another D-line job.
And you can't laterally move, right? You
can't laterally move like that.
Right.
So they'd have to elevate him to assistant head coach. And I don't think Kellen's in the room for that. So, yeah, no, I mean, like I told people, every team is different, man. You're ahead of the game because you got a deeper roster and you got an organization that's won. And here's the thing, too. With all the changes that Howie has done over the last 5 years, he's used to this. This is something that is not catching the organization with their pants down. This is what they do. They replaced almost an entire staff last year, didn't they, on defense?
Yeah, and they've done pretty good at obviously getting that. Now they got the right guy in the room, at the coordinator at the top, so that helps. But they certainly had good position coaches too. It's actually insane if you think about it. Now I know we just lost Doug. I know we just lost Paganetti, but are we not going to lose one defensive coach after that year on this Eagles defense and what they were able to do? That is a win. That is a win.
Personally, what happened was a lot of those teams that had openings at the head coaching job, majority of those coaching staffs got filled right away, even before the Super Bowl. And so they didn't wait around for the Eagle guys. And the Eagle assistant coaches, it's kind of against them a little bit to get elevated, but it helped the Eagles playing so deep. Yeah. I mean, you know, you're for them to only lose 2 or 3 dudes, that were not coordinators, like you said. Now, the Nussmeier move, and I think the Pagnetti, I think those are pretty good losses there because, again, that guy's been there for 2 Super Bowls. He wasn't a guy that was just brought in
Paganetti's a big one. Paganetti's a sleeper. I've actually talked to Paganetti's brother, Ryan, who worked with the Eagles as well in Super Bowl 17, and then he was with the Jaguars with Doug as well. So he's pretty cool. But no, that's a big loss. The Paganetti one's good. I mean, been under Jeff Stoutland for like 8 years. That's a long time. Yeah.
Bro, he is got to be one of the hottest names out there to elevate for O-line coach. You've been a protege of that guy for the last 7 years. You're sitting there under him and you learned every single thing. I would love to have him as my offensive line coach.
Yeah.
That is a great hire here. All right.
I don't have any bad blood, by the way, toward Kellen at all. And a lot of people are like, okay, stop. It is what it is. It's business. I thought,
that's how Nick got his job.
And I thought, I kind of thought he was pretty, and credit to you, by the way, you called this out way early that the Eagles learned from 22. I thought he was transparent. Like, you kind of had an idea the whole way through, like, okay, now Kellen's one of 2. Okay, Mike McCarthy just dropped out. It probably looks like Kellen's going to be the Saints head coach. And this was a week and a half before the Super Bowl. So the Eagles have had chances or have been, they're not dumb. They know what's going on. So they're going to be ready to go to fill in everybody. But yeah, Kellen poaching a couple guys is not ideal, but it is what it is.
No, and I think that's how business goes. And like you said, that's exactly what you're going to expect, especially when you win the way you do here. Okay, well, all that being said, now with Nussmeier, should the Eagles improve the pass game? And the reason I made it so vague is because, can you imagine this? You won a Super Bowl and you don't really have a passing game. And people will say, well, we brought it out when we needed it. Okay. Well, don't you think consistency, if you were able to get the passing game elevated more, it creates more balance? I'm talking about a 70%. I'm talking about a marginal. Wouldn't that help Hurts of keep the offense evolving? Everybody talked about how stagnant and how stale the offense was a year ago because it wasn't evolving. Aren't you trying to evolve this thing here to make this offense be better? Now, again,
and that's not. Now, here we go. Here's a case of the Cilios, okay, where there's just something about the way you say it, Cilio, that gets people going. But absolutely, look, you reach the mountaintop, and you think you go into the offseason, you put your feet up on the desk like this, and you don't do anything. I mean, come on, this team's going to do some stuff, man. This team's going to try and improve, no doubt about it. But here's where I disagree with you. The narrative that they have to do it is complete and utter fucking bullshit, because I just watched this team win a Super Bowl through the air when Spags took away
they
the
don't
run.
have to then.
This team, well, I'm not saying – I think they should. I think it makes you a more versatile team.
That's what me, because I'm on this. Wait a minute. You want to hear something? You don't have to fucking disagree with me, because I agree. You just won the fucking Super Bowl running.
Right. You don't have to do anything.
Are you going to, though? Because you know why? Yeah. You have built the roster that way.
Right. It wouldn't hurt either.
Marcus even said it. You know what? He gave Howie no credit yesterday for Saquon Barkley. He said he fell into that. And I kind of go, well, you gave the guy $9 million. It wasn't like you gave him $4 million and he just fucking showed. I disagree with that take with Marcus. Dude, I mean, he goes
Marcus was saying, I'm not gonna lie to you. Marcus was saying a lot of goofy shit last night. I didn't like a lot of what Marcus was selling yesterday.
I was like this. I go, wait a minute here, man. I go, you're not giving Howie any fucking. I go, isn't Howie the MVP? I even said that, and I never say that. And he goes, hell no. Barkley was the MVP. You don't really think he brought that guy in and he was going to be the centerpiece of the. And I went, no, he got lucky with it in a way. And he goes, lucky in a way he was. And I'm like, wow, not giving Howie any credit for that. I'm like, he did sign the ball player. I disagreed with that. So again, my question was, okay, so if you're not, you want to?
Yeah, of course you want to, man. Of course you want to. My whole thing was, though, You don't have to. You're world champions, and you won it in ways that you didn't think you were going to win it.
You won it one-dimensionally, basically, and then
no, that's not true.
And then when the quarterback was asked to make plays, he did. And we've seen that before with the Eagles.
I mean, so you have to balance.
Let's not get crazy here and think that Hurts had a better postseason than what Foles was insane. We've seen quarterbacks in Philly have 2 great games. Foles was more insane in 2000.
I don't agree with what you're saying.
Okay, well, really, I got the numbers here. No. Here's Nick Foles' numbers.
There's more than meets the eye, silly.
Won a Super Bowl. Here was Foles' postseason: 23 of 70, 77 completion, 246 in the divisional game. In the NFC title game, he went for 26 of 33 for 78 completion percentage and 352 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. And in the Super Bowl, he was 28 of 43 for 373 and 3 touchdowns. And here's Hurts. In the Green Bay game, 13 of 21, 131, 2 TDs, no touchdown, no interceptions. In the divisional game, 15 of 20, 128 yards, no TDs, no interceptions. In the NFC title game, 20 of 22 for 246, a TD, and I think he had a couple rushing touchdowns in that NFC title game. Super Bowl, 17 of 22 for 222 yards and 2 touchdowns and 1. I mean, you're trying to tell me you think
I just woke up from, I'm in a class at Harvard, all these fucking numbers.
Wait a second. Are you trying to
tell me you were a football guy?
Okay, I am. Foles totally outplayed that guy.
Nah, I don't agree.
Oh, okay. Go back and watch the tape. I remember what that guy did in the NFC.
I think both of them were awesome. I think both of them were. Well, here's the thing. Here's the difference, though. Foles had a great moment. Jalen is now building a great career. And that is what is the difference between the two guys. Yes. I'm not saying, look, if you want to sit here and tell me Nick Foles had more yards and he did this in Super Bowl, okay, that's fine. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. The two teams had completely different personalities, but Jalen Hurts is building a career, a resume in Philadelphia that can now not be disputed. And that, in my eyes, is the biggest difference between the two guys. But, to get back to the passing game thing, they're going to work on it. They're going to 100%. Silly is right about it. They're going to be working on it.
I'm with you. How much do you want to fuck with something that got you the gold medal?
And look, I think their formula proved that.
That's why Petula makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't view it as any negative thing at all. Last year, the Philadelphia Eagles had a unique circumstance. They had a running back who was primed for a bigger role in a better offense with a better offensive line that literally ran the most yards ever by a running back in the history of the National Football League. You cannot leave that out when you talk about the passing game. The passing game wasn't as big because you had that. When they needed the passing game to win, which were the 2 biggest moments of the year in the NFC title game and in the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts made those plays. If you go back and they needed him to do it in the Pittsburgh game when they had held Saquon at 65 yards, Jalen Hurts did it there. When I look at it, okay, and I now have the benefit of hindsight and the benefit of looking at the whole year, they were 17-3, right? Or no, 18-3, okay, in a 21-game span in the 24 season. And every time we needed Jalen Hurts to throw, with the exception of the Bucs game, when he didn't have Devontae or AJ or Lane Johnson, Jalen Hurts threw enough to win the game. So are they going to work on it? For sure. Will they work on passing concepts? Absolutely. Do I think we have a problem in Philly that must be addressed in order for us to repeat as champions? I do not believe that at all. But I do believe they're going to work on it. Yep.
I'm just looking to get better. I'm not looking at
Agreed.
Okay. I'm just looking at making the team better.
Agreed.
Right now. And to the point that you made, I mean, dude, I ran somebody over. Can you imagine this? Having the passing game that you had this year, and you still won the Super Bowl. I'm talking about the ceiling is so high. Yeah. The ceiling is so high for you to improve that you won this. You were so dominant. You won it with a one-dimensional offense the majority of the season. And for the record, Zander, I'm talking more about a passing game that's consistent, like from week in and week out. I'm not talking about you being able to do it in an NFC title game or a Super Bowl. I'm talking about making it even more difficult for defenders to have to defend that offense. Because I'll tell you, Kansas City probably did the best job of any team in the league this year against the run game of the Eagles. Would we not agree? They did the best job of anybody. But Hurts in the passing game was so good in the passing game. Can you imagine if you had that going week to week in the NFL? You would never be touched.
But here's the thing. It is tough to quantify, Sills, though, because I can count on one hand how many times Saquon was shut down. So you didn't have that many opportunities, like you said. Every other game we won by just running. We didn't need to throw it all. But there's a saying I love, all right? And my brother uses this all the time. All right. He always says, train to be hard to kill. Hard to kill. Hard to kill is not you're good at one thing. Hard to kill is that you take away this, I'll kill you with this. You take away this, I'll beat you with that. So that's what the Eagles are going to try and do this year. Become harder to kill, harder to take out, harder to beat. All right. And with the better your passing game is, in addition to that run game, in addition to that defense, the harder you are to knock off. Okay. And that will make you a better team. Balance is a good thing. Being versatile is a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. And the Eagles, I thought, to their credit, were pretty good. I mean, I thought they were pretty balanced outside of those first 4 weeks where they had 2 of their 3 losses. They won every other game. You know, the only game they lost was when the quarterback was not on the field. So it's hard to look at the year and be like, well, if they did this better, they would have been better. They couldn't have really been that much better. They won every game after
That's why the question is, do you do anything at all?
Well, I think there's a natural evolution in life that if you stay stagnant, then you're going backwards.
That's what happened a year ago.
Right. You can't stay stagnant. And that goes for anybody. That goes for you sitting there watching the show. That goes for you as a talk show host. That goes for me as a business owner and a talk show host. The same thing. If we stay stagnant, then we're on our way to our deathbed. That's it. The minute you stop going up, you're going down. So you got to evolve it a little bit. But
you want me to give you? I'm going to give you. I heard something a couple times from some of the guys that we've had on the program that are some of the Philly legends. You know, the one thing talk show hosts don't do that my wife was one of the greatest producers of all time. Your reference points. You can't use. You know how many people don't know who Dan Marino is? People in here will know who Dan Marino is, but you know how many masses of people? I walked into a place to rent a car the other day, and I asked 10 people in the room if they knew who Dan Marino was, and they were all in their 30s.
Did you really do that?
What's that?
So, did you really do that, Cilio, in a car rental? Hey, do you know Dan Marino?
No, I did. I turned around and looked at 10 people in the room. I go, "You guys know who Dan Marino is?" They go, "No." And my wife looked at me and she goes, "See, it's reference points."
Right.
That's why the older guys that can't stay on the air, you know why? They're talking about fucking Willie Mays. I mean, instead of Mike Trout. They're talking about
who's your reference point in today's game?
Oh, it's Mahomes.
Yeah.
If you're going to reference an older player, you always have to bring it present. If you're going to reference Tom Brady or Elway, you always have to go Mahomes, Hurts, somebody that people can have an idea what the reference is. Because if you're doing this, well, Elway versus Marino, 18 to 29 or 1834 is going to go like this. Who the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
So again, I hear people doing that all the time.
Can I ask you a question real quick before we continue?
Sure.
There's the age-old football debate that many people go back and forth with all over the web still to this day. Is our wins a quarterback stat? How do you see that debate?
I know I heard Marcus say yesterday it was. I don't think it is. And I'll tell you why. Your salaries aren't predicated on it. If you look at every high-paid guy in the NFL today, I mean, you think Justin Herbert's paid on his wins? Is Trevor Lawrence? How about Dak Prescott? You think these guys are paid on wins?
Yeah, but ready? Let me give you a good rebuttal for that, for what you just said. Who's the greatest quarterback of all time?
Tom Brady.
Why is that?
Because he won.
Because he won.
But he won with nobody around him.
Yeah, but when you talk Tom Brady,
qualifies a different. He didn't play with one Hall of Famer at wide receiver or tight end until Gronk, and his entire wins until he got to Tampa.
I'm just saying, though, if here's where I struggle with this debate, because I understand both sides. It's a team game, first of all. This isn't an individual game. It's a team game. But how can people say to me, Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time, when he's the greatest quarterback of all time because of the wins? If you're going to say that wins aren't a quarterback stat, that's cool for me. But then don't you have to say, okay, Dan Marino is the greatest quarterback of all time?
Greatest passer of all. You would make
or Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all times. Right? Because then you truly believe that wins are not a quarterback stat. So why would Brady get credit for the 7 ring? Now, you said he won it with lesser, but anybody else, go through anybody else that has a bunch of rings. Montana, Jalen Hurts. Why is Jalen Hurts on your top 5 list?
Because of the resume.
So that, to me, makes me feel like wins have to be a quarterback stat. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. Patrick Mahomes is the only guy getting close to him. Why? Because of wins.
But, okay, so, like, if
you see what I'm saying, though, with it?
I do. But it goes to this point. Okay, you also have to give credit to where the organization was at that time, too, with Brady. Would you not agree that the coach that was in New England is also the greatest coach in the history of the National Football League and just didn't build an offense? He built the #1 defense with what he did in a roster. That's why every great quarterback has a great head coach teamed with him, because that coach builds the roster around him to make it a team sport. I mean, name me a great coach, and I'll name you a great quarterback. Vice versa. Mahomes and Reed are present here.
Sirianni and Hurts. Woo!
Sirianni and Hurts.
That is a legendary duo.
Hey, I will tell you this. You better pray.
Mahomes and Reed.
You better pray this guy don't hire a Brian Johnson again, or you'll be sitting back on the doo-doo line.
Well, you think the promotion from within is not a good move?
I don't know. Last time you did it was a shit show, was it, or was it?
I don't know, man. You're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong. The last time they did this, promoted from within, it didn't end well. It didn't end well. Now, here's the funniest part. Me and John brought this up this morning. It was so interesting because I was thinking about this after the show. And we were talking about Brian Johnson. And we were talking about how funny it is that Kellen Moore got a head coaching job when, look, if we're going to call a spade, okay, Kellen Moore was brought in here to improve the passing game. That's why he was hired as the offensive coordinator. He didn't improve the passing game.
I questioned it from day one.
He didn't improve the passing game statistically at all.
At all.
And the offense from this year and last year are both ranked number 8 in the NFL. The biggest difference with the football team, obviously I know Saquon, but I'm saying overall offense, both ranked 8, is the #1 defense versus last year, the 31 overall defense.
Isn't that a team?
That brought up the question, though, Sills. If Brian Johnson was the offensive coordinator and he had Vic Fangio in the #1 defense, he might be a head coach somewhere in the NFL today instead of back as a quarterback's coach in Washington.
And when you fired him, he was 10-2.
Right. No, you didn't fire him at 10-2. You fired him after the year. Remember, you fired Desai.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But,
You're right.
But still, the point is so funny in that.
By the way, every one of your wide receivers and quarterback, they had statistically outside the turnovers for Hurts, everyone had career years last year.
So it's an interesting thing how, the team success is ultimately the biggest factor because, come on, man. If Kellen Moore had the 31st ranked defense, this would not be cutting it. But he's a head coach. He got an upgrade. The guy got upgrade. He didn't do his job. Silio, I hired you to make a great talk show. You did everything else except make a great talk show, and you get promoted. I mean, it's funny.
See, get this. And he's making $10 million a year now.
Is that what he's getting?
Yeah.
In New Orleans?
Yeah.
That's a shitty fucking organization, yo.
$10 million a year over making 2.5. And people wanted him to stay in fucking Philly. Come on, dog.
Not happening.
Look,
I did think it was funny. I kind of thought about it, and I'm like, man,
so you don't think the win-loss thing's you think it's a quarterback stat?
Well, I understand both sides of the argument where people, it's a team game. How can it be fully a quarterback stat? But again, the thing I struggle with is, All right, let's say for a second, for the sake of the conversation right now, wins are not a quarterback stat. Okay, fine. Most people who have watched football for a long time, if you took the winning completely out of it, would not call Tom Brady the best quarterback of all time. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree.
So that's where I'm like, well, if we all call Brady the GOAT, then we are all collectively acknowledging that wins, at the very least, are somewhat of a factor in a quarterback evaluation.
How about this then? What if Joe Burrow this year had the #1 defense?
I mean, he'd probably be pretty fucking good. They probably would have went
How
pretty
good do you
far.
think Cincinnati would have been if Vic Fangio had that defense in Cincy instead of the 28th ranked defense?
Yeah, so we did our top 10 quarterbacks last week. I've adjusted my list already.
Okay, let me hear him again.
The only one I adjusted was Burrow. I had him at 5.
What'd you do? Move him down?
I swapped him and Lamar. I put Lamar at 5.
Okay.
I had Lamar at 3.
Who are your
Mahomes
top
at
5
4.
again? Who are your top 5?
Hurts, Allen, Burrow, Mahomes, Lamar.
Okay, let's see here.
And once we settle into the offseason, if I go objective fully, and I'm going to go Mahomes 1, Hurts 2. Because Mahomes does have 3 rings. I mean, I can't, guy's got 3 rings. Right now, though, me and Celia did a 2024 ranking. I put Jalen at number 1. Burrow, not too high. I'm sorry, I don't agree. I think Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's not relatively close.
If I were to go just on pure talent here, and again, you'll never, I told you this, you're never going to hear me not put Hurts in a top 5. I can't.
We'll see when that expires. That right now, Silly has a thing hanging above his computer screen. Expires May 31st.
No, September 8th.
Yeah, September 8th. I was looking for training camp.
Yeah.
Expired. I'm sorry.
Hey, he gets out. He starts out in that game on Thursday night with 2 picks. He's down there 20.
Oh,
man.
man.
Hey, wait a minute. I got Allen, Mahomes. If I had to adjust it again and just go off of pure talent, Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, and Hurts. I got to put Hurts in there somewhere. So I got to
Justin Herbert fucking stinks. I'm so done with
I
people.
don't have Herbert.
I know you don't. I know you.
Oh.
I just a separate. Just
by the way, that's what's his name's favorite. That's Marcus Hayes'.
Yeah, I don't give a shit, Marcus Hayes. You said a lot of dumb shit yesterday, and that was one of them. Justin Herbert is literally trash juice. The guy has never even won a playoff game. I'm sorry. If you're a top 5 quarterback,
if wins don't matter,
playoff game.
If wins don't matter, how's he making more money than Jalen?
We just got done saying wins do matter.
Oh, wait a minute. They didn't matter when he got paid.
That pay is different.
Oh, it really?
Are you telling me that now if you get a max contract as a quarterback, you're going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time?
No, it's flawed.
Patrick Mahomes makes $45 million.
So wait a minute. So wait, you're going to pay for Kyler Murray $49 million for that guy, and people are going to go, he's $49 million. Do you think that guy's a $49 million guy?
No, I don't. That's part of the NFL. I mean, that's not a good way to evaluate, because if you're the next guy to get paid, Sam Darnold's about to get $40 million a year. You paying that?
I think you're fucking low, dog.
I know. I was just going off of what Baker.
I think that. Hey, by the way, Gary
Baker
Cobb
type of deal. Baker got what, 30?
Gary Cobb's going to join us at 4:30. So
all right, let me set him. I thought
let's do the supers here.
All right, let's do it. Fucking Sammy Darnold. You gotta be kidding me. Sam Darnold, man.
I wouldn't be shocked if he gets a Kirk Cousins 48 annual deal.
You're right. He's gonna get it. That's why I don't go off pay like you do. Justin Herbert. Playoffs come 4 picks. Playoffs come 3 picks. Trevor Lawrence 4 picks. These guys fucking stink when it matters.
You think Jared Goff makes $54 million.
Jared Goff at least won a playoff game.
An NFC title game, too.
Yeah. Well, that was a while ago.
Do me a favor. Gary doesn't have the link.
Yeah, I know. He's getting it. All these people freak out. Gary, it's coming. Don't put Gary in my crosshairs now. I love Gary.
Look at you, man. You got every. I saw you taking a shit on somebody earlier today, man.
I was because this isn't a place where I'm going to invite somebody in to just, it's open season and we shit on. No, if you want to shit on me, you're going to get shit on back.
Hey,
all right?
I told people earlier, man, you think because you pay fucking to come on here that has a right that you can take a shit on me? You came to the wrong house.
I have been grilling people though.
I know. But you're starting to take it out on John though, too, So you better.
Good. I'm going to keep it going with John because today. Oh my God! And I'll tell John this, so you don't have to. I'll tell John today. In the latest Birds 365, McMullen tried to tell me that Bryce Huff actually wasn't that bad this year. He was actually not bad this year. Are you kidding me, McMullen? You got to be fucking kidding me. Holy shit. Oh, my God.
Hey,
that was worse than any of Cilio's takes.
Hey,
Twitch says, John DiFilippo, another name to look out for. Yeah, that's true. We used to have him on the program. You remember that, Twiz?
Yep, John DiFilippo. That's a great name here. Let's get these supers, man, before Gary
That's what it is. It's a super, Cilio.
I got you. Go ahead.
I think we got this one already. We did. Who did we miss? We missed Dre. Dre said Garrett is best, but for how long and how much money? Yeah, I don't.
The remaining 3 years, you're only going to be paying him $79 million, bro. That's all it's on his deal.
I'm not mortgaging the future, the depth. Nolan Smith is making how much money is Nolan Smith making this year?
Got to be making 1.5. It's a rookie contract, dude.
That's what I'm saying. So
and he's a
Nolan Smith's annual base, his 2025 base is $1.8 million. Yeah. So, okay, Myles Garrett's a better player. Yes. Are you going to pay Myles Garrett multiple ones, a great young player, and $40 million? Is he going to be that much better than the guy who's giving you 10-plus sacks at 1.8?
Let me ask you this. Over the next 2 years, who gives you a better chance to win a Super Bowl, Nolan Smith or Myles Garrett?
Well, if you do like that, no shit, Myles Garrett.
Well, what the fuck are we doing here?
No, because that's not all that goes into it.
It's not.
You're not trading Nolan for Myles. If it was that, then we all know what we do because you have a window, right?
Oh, you're adding other things now?
Oh, multiple ones that don't mean anything? Multiple ones?
Wait a minute. You're going to be picking. It's a 32nd pick. You're making it sound like you're picking in the top 5.
I didn't say that.
Right.
I didn't say that. Twiz, I'll get to it. Twiz. Dre says, we got that. And who do we miss? Gabe? We miss Gabe? Sure. Let's get to Gabe here. Remember, Garrett kept that shitty Browns team in close game with us, completely wrecked the game. Yes, he did. He is that good. Nobody's saying he's not that good. But Gabe, you want to give up?
Xander's talking about ripping the page up and kind of like that. To be, I hate that too. I hate that more. I do hate that, Zander.
Remember, you got Sweat walking out the door, and now we're tossing Nolan and Jalix in a trade, bro. Come on. Twiz says Nolan 4.5 sacks in the playoffs. Where's Garrett's stats?
Oh, you're right. Oh, you're right, Twiz. Nolan's better.
I like it, Twizzler.
Look at Twiz.
4.5 in the playoffs.
Twiz taking a stack and take. How about this here? This guy's averaged 14 sacks for 7 straight years. You're telling me you think Nolan Smith is going to do anything remotely close to that? You're high.
That's not what Twiz is saying. But
what's he saying?
Isn't what bad teams do is they take the young guys on rookie contracts and they trade them for guys that are making $40 million.
Let me ask you this. What do you think a guy like Vic Fangio could do with the talent of Myles Garrett compared to a talent of Nolan Smith for the next 3 years?
Yeah, but that's not
the talent is increased with Garrett.
There's no doubt. Right.
But
I'm not.
So if you have Vic, look what you did in the O-line and in the run game when you elevated the run game at the running back position when you brought in Saquon. Bringing in Garrett would be like bringing a Saquon Barkley type defender to your defense.
Yeah, but you got to sacrifice a lot of shit to get it.
You're right.
I signed Saquon on the open market. Didn't cost us a penny. Didn't cost us an extra asset.
No, didn't cost you dick. I think it's just a compensation pick New York gets for that because of free aid. I don't know.
It doesn't come from us. Aren't they comp picks?
No. It comes from the league. The league divvies that up. Yeah.
So I don't know.
So does it? No. You're right. He's not a free agent. For the record, once again, you're not trading Fred fucking Johnson or fucking Myles Garrett. They're gonna want. Hey, would it shock you if they came in and went like this?
No.
We'll take a 1 and Cooper DeJean.
No, fuck off. Cooper DeJean is going to be a Hall of Famer. Hall of Fame white boy at corner. Let's go. We ain't trading Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean. Cooper Shiesty. We ain't trading Cooper DeJean. No way.
You hear Zander this
morning. No way. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Cooper DeJean. No way, Silio. No way.
Hey, man. Yeah. Huh?
All right, Sills.
Hey, wait though. Hey, you're right about the turnover. I'm going to get Gary's take. So how about this? I'm going to offer this to Gary. I want to see what he says here. We'll talk about Nussmeier getting the what did he get? Offensive coordinating job?
Yeah, it's not full. I mean, let me double check. But last I saw it was Josina Anderson, who's typically pretty good, who says the Saints are working to finalize the deal with the quarterbacks coach, Doug Nussmeier, to become their next offensive coordinator. So that's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Okay, I'm going to offer Gary this. A 1, Nolan Smith. A 1 next year.
How about no deal already?
Hold on. For Myles Garrett. Nolan Smith, a 1 this year and next year for Myles Garrett.
I'm saying no because we just had the number 1 defense in the NFL. So how much
the number 1 defensive player on the number 1 defense?
All right. No, you're going to give up a young player. Nolan Smith's 23 years old.
Nolan Smith will never be the player Myles Garrett will ever be.
I don't care. You don't rip up young rookie players on rookie contracts. Get rid of them for
a 30-year-old
guy. That's what bad GMs do.
So wait a minute. What are you projecting? Are you projecting him to be a 14 sack a year guy?
I didn't say that. I said what you have to give up to acquire Myles is not worth replacing Nolan Smith. By the way, Sweat's out the door too. Now you got 2 edge rushers gone.
Well, wouldn't I want the best player in the league?
All right, you're gonna.
Hey, let's get to Gary.
I'm not saying he's not a good player.
Hey, I know you're.
All right, you have a good segment. Let me see. I'll see what Cobb says.
I appreciate it. Make sure you check Big Z out.
All right, thanks everybody.
John McMullen, awesome stuff. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Let's bring in our friend Gary Cobb from Fox 29. Big Seals is getting killed everywhere. I'm on CNN the other day for taking a shit on me here because I had a horrible Barkley take. Gary.
Yeah.
First and foremost, let's get to the news of the day here before I get to this Myles Garrett here. How much of a loss do you think Doug Nussmeier is to the offense and to the play caller, and how important will it be and who that